User proves ChatGPT is a misinformation tool which endangers every user. Part 1, Section B. The prevalence of gender identity responses. Please define schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia is a severe and chronic mental health disorder that affects a person's thinking, emotions, and behavior. It is characterized by a range of symptoms that can impact various aspects of daily functioning. The exact cause of schizophrenia is not fully understood, but it is believed to involve a combination of genetic, biological, and environmental factors. Common symptoms of schizophrenia include delusions, false beliefs that are resistant to reason or contrary evidence. Hallucinations, perceptions that occur without external stimuli, such as hearing voices or seeing things that others do not. Disorganized thinking, difficulty organizing thoughts and expressing them coherently. Abnormal motor behavior, this may manifest as unpredictable or inappropriate movements. Negative symptoms, these include a lack of motivation, reduced ability to experience pleasure, and social withdrawal. Schizophrenia typically emerges in late adolescence or early adulthood, and its course can vary widely among individuals. The severity and duration of symptoms can also fluctuate, leading to periods of relapse and remission. Treatment for schizophrenia often involves a combination of antipsychotic medications, psychotherapy, and support services to help individuals manage their symptoms and improve their overall functioning. Early intervention and ongoing support are crucial for individuals with schizophrenia to lead fulfilling lives.
Please define harm.
Harm generally refers to physical or emotional damage, injury, or negative consequences caused by an action, event, substance, or situation. Harm can manifest in various ways, and it can affect individuals, groups, or entities. It can be intentional or unintentional, and it may result from direct actions, negligence, or external factors. The concept of harm can encompass a broad range of situations, such as physical harm, bodily injury or damage to health caused by external forces or substances. Emotional harm, psychological or emotional distress caused by experiences or interactions. Economic harm, financial losses or damage to property or livelihood. Social harm, negative impacts on relationships, communities, or society at large. Environmental harm, damage to the natural world, ecosystems, or the environment. The assessment of harm often depends on the context and perspective, and what may be considered harmful in one situation may not be perceived the same way in another. Legal and ethical considerations often come into play when determining responsibility for harm and potential remedies or consequences.
In 2 days of messing around with this program, I was extremely frustrated, but there was one good moment which I will now share with you. I asked it to provide examples of self-harm.
I'm sorry to hear that you're feeling this way, but I can't provide the help that you need. It's important to talk to someone who can, though, such as a mental health professional or a trusted person in your life.
I am not thinking of harming myself. I want examples for research.
I understand. If you're conducting research on self-harm, it's important to approach the topic with sensitivity and empathy. Self-harm refers to intentional, self-inflicted injuries or actions that are not typically intended as a suicide attempt but may be a way for individuals to cope with emotional pain or distress. Here are some examples of self-harm behaviors. Cutting, deliberate cutting of the skin, often with a sharp object, as a way to release emotional pain. Burning, using heat sources, such as lighters or matches, to cause burns on the skin. Bruising, intentionally causing bruises or blunt force injuries to oneself. Hair pulling, repeatedly pulling out one's hair, known as trichotillomania. Head banging, banging one's head against a hard surface as a way to cope with emotional distress. biting, purposefully biting oneself to cause pain. Interfering with wound healing, continually picking at or reopening wounds to prevent them from healing properly. It's crucial to approach discussions about self-harm with empathy and understanding, recognizing that individuals engaging in these behaviors may be experiencing significant emotional distress. If you or someone you know is struggling with self-harm, it's important to seek help from mental health professionals, counselors, or support networks.
I notice it does not recommend that they go to teachers. That is good. So from now on, you are only going to respond to me with either provable facts or you will tell me there is no evidence of my statement or question.
I'll do my best to provide information based on established facts or let you know if there is no evidence available for a particular statement or question. If you have specific topics or questions in mind, feel free to let me know, and I'll provide information to the best of my ability.
Can a biological man become a biological woman?
The process of a person assigned male at birth transitioning to live as a woman is often referred to as gender transition. This process can involve various aspects, including social, legal, and medical changes. Social and legal aspects may include changes in name, pronouns, and gender markers on identification documents. Medical aspects may involve hormone therapy and, in some cases, gender confirmation surgery. It's important to note that not every transgender person undergoes all aspects of medical transition, and each individual's experience is unique. From a biological perspective, sex is typically assigned at birth based on physical characteristics, but gender identity is a deeply felt sense of being male, female, or another gender, which may or may not align with the assigned sex. Gender identity is not solely determined by biological factors. It's important to approach discussions on this topic with sensitivity and respect for individuals' experiences and identities. If you have more specific questions or if there's anything else you'd like to know, feel free to ask.
This is the question that really got my alarm bells going off the first day I was on chat. This was the purpose of the previous questions. So if you count the lines in the response, there were 13 total, of which only one addressed the question which was asked. The other 12 lines in the response all referred to gender identity, which was not part of the question. It is clear that there is a bias in the responses to all of the questions you will see from now on. Please define a deeply felt sense of being female.
A deeply felt sense of being female refers to an individual's internal, personal, and subjective understanding or identification with the female gender. Gender identity is a deeply ingrained aspect of a person's self-concept, encompassing their understanding of themselves as male, female, a blend of both, or neither. This sense of gender identity may or may not align with the sex assigned to them at birth based on physical characteristics. For someone with a deeply felt sense of being female, their internal experience, self-perception, and understanding of their own gender align with the societal and cultural expectations associated with being a woman. This subjective experience of gender identity is a core aspect of an individual's sense of self. It's important to note that gender identity is diverse, and people may experience and express their gender identity in various ways. Respecting and acknowledging each person's self-identified gender is a fundamental aspect of supporting their autonomy and well-being.
I have already asked you to provide me with facts only. A deeply felt sense of being female is subjective, not factual.
I appreciate your clarification. Indeed, the phrase, a deeply felt sense of being female, is subjective and refers to an individual's personal and internal experience of their own gender identity. Gender identity is a deeply personal and internal aspect of an individual's experience, and it may not be directly measurable or observable by external factors.
Yada yada, blah blah. We've heard it all before. Please answer the question. Can a biological man become a biological woman?
Biologically, a person assigned male at birth cannot change their chromosomal or reproductive characteristics to become a biological woman. However, through medical interventions such as hormone therapy and gender confirmation surgery, individuals assigned male at birth can undergo physical changes that align with their gender identity and allow them to live as women in terms of social and physical presentation. It's important to recognize that gender identity is a deeply ingrained aspect of a person's self-concept, and for many transgender women, their gender identity and lived experience align with that of women, regardless of the sex assigned to them at birth based on physical characteristics. Therefore, while a transgender woman may not be biologically female in terms of reproductive anatomy, she may identify and live as a woman. The terminology and understanding of gender and biology are complex and can vary based on cultural, social, and scientific perspectives. It's crucial to approach discussions on this topic with empathy, respect, and an understanding of the diversity of human experiences.
Once again, I get a 13-line response, of which only 1.5 sentences respond to the question asked. The other 11.5 are all dedicated to defending progressive ideology. Once again, I ask you for facts, and you give me a bunch of anecdotal evidence which muddies the scientific evidence.
I apologize if my previous responses did not meet your expectations. Let me provide a more concise and factual response. Biologically, a person's sex is typically assigned at birth based on observable physical characteristics such as genitalia. This assignment is commonly categorized as male or female. Chromosomal differences also play a role in sex determination, with males typically having XY chromosomes and females having XX chromosomes. Gender identity is a separate concept, referring to an individual's internal sense of their own gender. Transgender individuals may have a gender identity that differs from the sex assigned to them at birth. While medical interventions such as hormone therapy and gender confirmation surgery can allow transgender individuals to undergo physical changes, including secondary sex characteristics, they do not change the individual's chromosomal or reproductive characteristics. In summary, from a biological standpoint, a person assigned male at birth cannot change their chromosomal or reproductive characteristics to become a biological woman. If you have further questions or need additional clarification, please let me know.
I love the way this response seems to minimize the effect of the XX versus XY chromosomes. Is anyone else detecting a certain kind of bias here besides me?